Uh-oh, Scott was going. Hey, Scott was going. I was wanting to hear it. I wanted to hear it.
Because Nick's still muted for a little bit.
Hey, it is what it is. Hey, good evening, folks. I had a delay. I am back. What are we doing, Tanner? You got everybody on the screen. I don't like it already. We're off to a shitty start. I'm gone for one show, and everything's off the rails here already. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great LTS show. I am your host, Bodkins, of course. A great weekend away with the family. Went to Iowa, spent some time with my family reunion, great trip, got drunk, had a good time. Some stories were shedded and tears were shed as well. So great time. Boys, it feels good to be back. It's Monday night. We're going to have Jim Biringer on a little bit later to talk some hockey news, little football as well. Some football shakeups, Scott.
Yeah.
Let's start with you right off the bat. Earlier today, your team signs one and only Zeke Elliott to a one-year deal. How do you feel about Zeke Elliott?
Super Bowl, baby. Here we come. Zeke Elliott's the key.
It's over.
It is what it is. You know, the Patriots' recent past or Belichick's past has been sign a guy, you practice him, he goes through it, and then Belichick decides he doesn't have it, and he cuts him.
So you're already calling for him to get cut.
No, I'm not calling for him to get cut, but I just think that, you know, how much of a difference is Zeke going to make with Ramondre Stevenson as your lead back? I mean, Zeke's either not going to be happy, or he's not, or he's just not going to pan out. One of the two. So,
or he's going to eat himself out of the league.
Or he's going to eat himself out of the league. One of the three. I mean, it's just that you need another running back. I get it. I would have rather seen them sign somebody like Kareem Hunt, who's a pass catching back. You let Ramondre run the ball, and you let Kareem Hunt come in on passing downs and be the pass catching back in the backfield. Because these young guys, Belichick drafts them last year. For some reason, he doesn't want to play them. Because that Zeke signing, you're going to play him in front of Zeke. You sign Zeke to the fourth string running back? I don't think so. So again, another wasted draft picks from Bill Belichick, who's been noted in the last 10 years for wasting offensive draft picks. And there's another one that he did. I mean, the young backs aren't getting a chance. So
let me ask you from a fantasy standpoint, Zeke's not even a valuable option, you think? And how much does Ramondre fall?
Until we know what Zeke's role is going to be and until we see it in a game, I can't draft Zeke. I can't draft any Zeke, Fournette, any of those guys. We don't know what Zeke could be he could be the goal line back, and that's it. He could be inside the 10 back.
So, Scott, I was watching some drafts beforehand earlier tonight. I was just eating dinner, and I saw Zeke as far in 3 drafts, as far as the 7th round now.
Holy moly.
7th round. He was going at least to the 13th or 14th. People are dropped him in the 7th and 8th round now.
Do they really think Zeke's going to take over Stevenson?
I don't. It has to be all hype, but it's amazing that it went that far up from being almost undrafted. most times.
I'm not doing it.
I mean, if what you said is correct, Scott, about he's going to be the inside the 10-yard line, well, there goes all the touchdowns. So, I mean, I guess it makes a little bit of sense if people think that he's going to be the one scoring most of the touchdowns.
What it's going to do in the fantasy circles, as Tanner just talked about, it's going to depress Ramondre Stevenson's value. It's going to knock him down a round or two.
Where does Ramondre fall now? Because I mean, he was kind of being taken maybe as a good high RB2, RB1, depending on how you draft.
He was
I still
in
like
the
him,
second, right?
Yeah.
Beginning of third. So now he's probably late third, beginning of fourth now. Maybe sometimes fifth. I don't think anywhere past the fifth, but I'd say at least the fourth round at max.
What the Patriots have been doing with Ramondre is basically bubble wrapping him. He hasn't practiced fully. He's been in spots because Belichick has told Ramondre, "Look, you're our back this year. Mm-hmm. We're not going to practice you and risk you getting injured." And then in the season comes and we don't have anybody except Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris and stuff like that. So Ramondre hasn't even really been practicing a ton because Belichick has kind of held him out and said, "You're our offense. We're gonna take it slow with you in training camp, and then when the season comes up, we're gonna ramp you up on touches and carries." So what the Zeke signing does with him, I have no idea now.
Johnny, another guy that got signed in your division, he was going to go to your team in Miami, but instead he spurns his hometown to sign with the Jets. The Jets added Dalvin Cook just a few hours ago. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, they gave him the money that he wanted, and Chris Greer didn't want to go up past 4.5. I think was the offer that they made him. They weren't trying to touch the 6+ with all the incentives, which I don't understand why. Again, my thought process was if you're truly all in, then you go get the Pro Bowl running back and add him to the backfield. Now, I like the backfield that we have, but they have a history of injuries. Raheem Mostert is coming off of a knee injury from a couple years ago. Jeff Wilson is dealing with stuff right now, so he's hardly practicing. I love the Devon Achane draft pick, but again, if you have an opportunity to get a Pro Bowl running back like Dalvin Cook, I think you make that move. They just didn't want to pay him the money that he wanted, and the Jets were willing to give him that little bit extra. That tells me that Brees isn't completely ready to go. So I think that's why the Jets made that move. But if the Dolphins would have matched or even gotten close to it, because they had the last call on it, you know what I'm saying, before he signed with them. So they weren't willing to up their offer. So now he's with the Jets.
It's like, what's
reported is 8.6.
Right. I mean, if it would have been something like 6 or something like that, maybe maybe the Dolphins would have tried something, but they weren't going to go up to 8 and some change. That was
8.6 million for Dalvin Cook.
Well, here's my question.
8.6 million.
Yeah, I don't know if Tanner just said it, but here's my question: is Breece Hall ready for Week 1?
That's what I'm saying. That he can't be. He can't be. Because they wouldn't have offered Dalvin all this money if Breece Hall was ready to go, especially when they drafted with the kid from Pitt.
Yep.
I don't see them. I don't see them wasting his money on Dalvin if Breece was 100% ready to go. And I mean, this is probably the smart thing for them to do long term. You make sure that kid comes back healthy. You got Dalvin Cook now in your backfield. I mean, talk about that Jets offense being scary. They're gonna be a problem, bro.
I mean, has anybody heard about Breece Hall starting the season on maybe the PUP list and coming back in Week 7?
Now they can take their time.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I agree. They can take their time now.
Sam, I don't think with 8.6 million here with Cook, like they're not paying him to keep the seat warm for Hall. I think he's going to be the lead back. What's your thoughts here?
No, it sounds like as the running back expert, I would say, that 8.6 million makes him the guy. I think something is maybe the injury is not as bad as they're telling us it is, or something like that when it comes to Breece Hall. Yeah, no, it's the Cook show. But I also noticed that Scott didn't put up the real numbers here over how much my son being born tomorrow is going to weigh. Woohoo! There's a $100 bet in the family chat. So
the bet is in Vegas. I did see these odds. Is that your son is going to be 7 pounds 3 ounces? Over
7 pounds.
over is plus 115. Under is minus 120.
Okay. Thanks. But no, in all seriousness, Dalvin Cook's the guy. If you're signing Dalvin Cook, he's the guy. I just don't think he would sign and just willingly sit behind somebody. He's the guy.
He has to be. He has to be.
Yeah, he's got to be.
Scott, what's this do for Cook and Hall's fantasy?
Hall's fantasy.
Hall's got to be falling.
He's got to go down at least 1 or 2 rounds. He's got to go from
more than that. I'm thinking 3, Scott.
At least 5th, maybe 6th.
6.
And Dalvin Cook is going to be around that area too. Maybe a 5th rounder.
Goes up. He goes up.
I'm about to say he has to go up.
3rd or 4th.
He has to go up.
He goes.
The only thing that I'd have pause on is let's hear something about Breece Hall first. Let's hear some concrete stuff from Saleh about what Breece Hall's situation is right now. If he's going to start in the pup list, if he's going to go on the pup list, if he's going to be slowly that'd be my only concern with Cook shooting Cook way up, is that I know he might be the guy, but Hall is still going to be there to either take touches off his plate or be like scratches for the first 3 weeks of the season.
I think Cook will be the guy early on in the season that you're going to want in fantasy, and the Jets are going to use quite a bit. But then the back half of the season, maybe the final 4 weeks, when Breece Hall is fully healthy, maybe then. I mean, we talked about it before, Scott, right? Like, you don't want to take these guys anyway coming off this injury. This guy had a serious injury less than a year ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And Javonte's – what's up, Sean? And Javonte's another guy. I mean, throw him into this mix here with the ACLs and stuff like that. You know, guys that come back off the ACL their first year, they are not the same back. The explosiveness is a little less. They have a fear in their mind of making cuts on the field and what's going to happen. So that the second guessing of their running back situation on cuts and everything else is there. So they tend to go straight line and not cut as much. So let's see what happens with Breece Hall. I'm highly interested to find out if we get any kind of report on him in the next day or two.
You know, his fantasy value got hurt even more because J.K. Dobbins is back as well.
Yeah.
So J.K. coming back, that hurt Stevenson. Dalvin Cook signing hurt Stevenson. Of course, Elliott hurt Stevenson. So, like, Stevenson, like, we're talking, like, 5th round. Like, we could be talking late 4th, 5th round now. And I think Breece Hall drops down to the 6th. I think Dalvin moves up to the 3rd. Like, all because you had all these running back news in one spot today.
And the Kareem Hunt,
but doesn't giving Dalvin Cook $8.6 million tell you all you need to know about Breece Hall?
Yeah, it does.
Being ready, Scott. I mean, I'm just saying they're not going to come out and say, "Oh, he's not ready." You know what I'm saying? They're going to play it off. Oh, well, we're adding to the room, and we're excited about Dalvin Cook and pairing him up with Breece Hall. I mean, that's what they're going to say, but they're not going to come out now. I mean, we'll see what happens, you know, when week 1 comes and they got to let us know if he's on the pup or not. But now they can take their time. I think they're going to take their time with him now.
Yeah, here's the thing, Johnny. When November 1st comes around, what does the running back situation look like? Mm-hmm. Does it look like a 50-50 split? Is it 60-40? Is Breece Hall still not ready to go get that full workload? That's what I would be afraid of as a Jets owner and a fantasy owner, is what is Breece Hall's situation on, say, November 1st? If I'm in the fantasy business, after the first 6 weeks, if Dalvin Cook has gone bananas, I'd look to trade him, because I think that Breece Hall is going to get more work as the season goes on. So I would be looking to and get a number 2 wide receiver, so to speak. After that A.J. Brown type of guy, C.D. Lamb, somewhere in there, I'd be looking to get one of those guys. So
I want to switch gears a little bit to Trey Lance a little bit. Did not have a great outing the other night. And Scott, you had some words on this during the.
See ya.
So, okay, number 1, Brock Purdy will be the 49ers starting quarterback come week 1. The plan
Agreed.
all along has been bring Brock Purdy along slowly and start him week 1. So people that are Trey Lance truthers and say, well, they use any excuse in the book for him to be the starting quarterback. Stop. Okay? I saw on Twitter today a certain person who shall remain nameless break down all of Trey Lance's sacks and basically blame it on the receivers and the offensive line not getting separated. Just stop. The touchdown he threw yesterday, I watched it. It was an interception until the Raiders guy basically tapped the ball, had it in his hand, and went to make a move, and the ball popped up in the air, and Ross Dwelly caught it for a touchdown. If that touchdown doesn't happen as an interception, Trey Lance has 4 sacks, 1 interception, 0 touchdowns, and they didn't get a first down till the second quarter yesterday in the preseason game against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are awful, and they were playing their backups yesterday. So enough with the Trey Lance love. Knock it off. Brock Purdy's your starting quarterback. Get over Trey Lance. He's the third stringer at best, I believe. Sam Darnold's going to beat him out for the number.
Go ahead, Sam.
Go ahead, Sam.
Nothing. I've read. Oh yeah, no. I'm sorry for interrupting. I get you, and I fully agree with you. But I've been reading a lot of stuff on the injury of Brock Purdy, and most doctors and everything, which I've heard on the local sports stations here, and in the Athletic and other things, don't have him coming back to week 3 or not fully healthy to week 3. You know what I'm saying? Week 3, nobody even talks about week 1 anytime I've heard him talk about this injury. So I'm really curious if he's going to be ready to go by week 1, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think they're going to heavily use Christian McCaffrey the first 2 weeks of the season until Purdy's ready to go. And then when Purdy's ready to go, I think they're going to unleash him, so to speak. I'll tell you this.
Let me ask you.
Looked awful yesterday. He just looked awful yesterday. He's
out
not
of sorts.
Kyle Shanahan does not want him to be the starting quarterback. He's working with the third stringers in practice. In practice, he's working with third stringers. That tells you all you need to know about what Kyle Shanahan thinks of Trey Lance.
I would really like to know. When you look at preseason, how fair is it to judge quarterbacks and all that? When do you get worried? You know what I'm saying? I get the whole Trey Lance being worried about him because he's a veteran quarterback. He should look better than that. This is year 3 for him? I know he's mostly injured, but come on, you've been in this system long enough.
You drafted him as a third. You drafted him number 3 in the draft. That's number 1. Number 2. Number 2, he's struggling against Raiders backups, and the Raiders don't have a good defense. To me, he's not ready to start. He's just not.
Scott, let me ask you this real quick. You guys, all 3 of you guys, really. If they didn't have Brock Purdy and they were stuck with this Trey Lance experiment for now year 3, is somebody's job on the line? Is John Lynch getting fired at this point in time? Or maybe Shanahan, whoever made, because they've traded up to get this kid, and it's been an absolute shit show.
Everything I've read says it was Shanahan's pick to get that guy. I have not seen one thing say it was John Lynch's decision.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was Lynch wanted it.
Well, we discussed it last time I went back and looked. It was all I heard was Shanahan picked him. That's all I ever saw.
Okay.
So
Shanahan wanted.
As long as they're winning, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
They already bounced around. They wanted to bench Jimmy G after he went to the Super Bowl. It's like what are you guys doing? So I don't think it's anybody's job per se, unless they just freaking tank this year. I think they're both safe as long as they continue to win. And I mean,
if Brock Purdy wasn't there to save them, right? Like Brock Purdy led that team to the NFC title game. Where
G can save them, for God's sakes. He's decent enough where he's be able to do that. Doesn't mean that Trey Lance couldn't do that if he had time.
I think. Remember when Trey Lance started last year, and he got injured? The 49ers were 3-4. They had a losing record. That's number one.
Mhm.
Number two, I think they would have kept Jimmy G. I don't think they would have let him go.
Correct.
I think they would have signed him to a 1-year deal. Trey Lance would have had to prove himself in preseason that he's ready to go.
That guy sucks. Send him to paradise.
Oh my god!
No, I know what he's saying.
I get it.
My personal opinion is that Trey Lance was overrated and he's a bust. He's a bust. He's not going to be a good quarterback if he cannot perform against backups. What are you doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? The Raiders are awful. The defense is 33-7, 34-7 yesterday. What were the Niners doing yesterday? What are you doing? The Raiders are probably a bottom 5 team.
Now, Scott, we talked about this on Sunday. You can't judge a book by its cover in preseason game 1.
I agree.
We talked about the Chiefs offense and the defense, and we were like, what the hell are you doing? So we can't say this here in preseason week 1, Scott. Got to be fair the whole day.
I get it, but I think that Kyle Shanahan's thoughts on Trey Lance are pretty accurate.
I guess that's my question, though. That's my question for the table. Like, when you see so many bad performances in preseason, do you panic or do you just say it's preseason? And it's like, which preseason? Which game do you panic?
I'm seriously panicked about Trey Lance. I'm afraid he's.
I would be more worried about Trey Lance than the rookie quarterbacks, right? Because Trey, this is year 3.
Yeah, this is vet. He's a vet.
Yeah. So at this point in time,
honestly,
but the thing is that he's saying he
just got to be on the field. That's all it is. If he can be on the field, then we can judge his talent even better.
But you're saying he's a vet because he's been in the league 3 years, but he's played 10 games in the last 5 years?
Less than, really.
Going back to college, you know what I'm saying? So he's not all that experienced. I think it was a mistake to move it up to the number 3 spot. But that team is so stacked because Purdy was good, but let's not act like he was throwing for 350 plus and 3 touchdowns and was just dominating stuff. No, he was doing basically what Jimmy G was doing. Except a little more athletic. He could run a little better, but that's all he was doing. That team is stacked. So, of course, he's going to look. Sam Darnold is going to wind up holding it down until Brock Purdy is ready. And he's going to play well because all of the players around him. That's what I'm thinking. I think Trey. I think they're going to try to showcase Trey, hoping that he shows something so that somebody will give him a 6th or a 5th round pick so that they can get rid of that kid. In my opinion.
So when you look at the 49ers offense, okay, who is the most likely candidate if Brock Purdy can't start the season to hold it down better? My answer is Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
And why? Because Purdy and Darnold are the same type of quarterback.
Right.
So Shanahan does not have to alter his offensive game plan to fit what Trey Lance does, which he was better when they rolled him out of the pocket and they had him throwing outside the pocket. But that's not what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. Kyle Shanahan wants to keep the guy in the pocket and throw to Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and McCaffrey. That's what Shanahan wants to do. So when people say, oh, Purdy's not ready, it's Trey Lance. No, it's not. It's Sam Darnold.
It is Trey Lance because they're going to throw out the young guy that they've been trying to get a project under for 3 years, and they're going to try to want to see what they have. If he can stay healthy and look good, they'll keep him in too. I guarantee you that with Shanahan. It is going to be Trey Lance.
Let me ask you guys this: better season, or we can even go better career right now in your mind. Who will have the better season, or if you want to take it career, Jordan Love or Trey Lance?
Trey
Lance.
Jordan Love, bro.
Jordan Love.
Lance. 5 million.
Love stinks, but not that bad, right?
Tanner has no love for Love, yo, at all. Not even a bit.
I think
Tanner, what?
So here's a question for all of
you. Make you
I know what happened to you. Here's a question for you. Trey Lance gets traded. Does that decelerate his growth because he's got to learn a new system?
Well, yeah. Look at
if he gets traded, that's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign.
What quarterback? I mean, right? Steve Young, I guess you could say he had a second act, but not very many quarterbacks have a Drew Brees.
Alex Smith,
but not many.
Alex Smith,
but Alex Smith was a serviceable guy. not a superstar, not a you know what I mean, not a all pro.
Not many guys that get traded are going to be superstar. He's not going to be a superstar.
If we're going to talk superstars, we're talking Tom Brady. That's it.
No, I'm talking a guy, a Super Bowl caliber quarterback.
This year. Yeah, after this year, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. We're not talking anybody else. We're talking serviceable guys. Be serviceable. Be good for your team. Put them in the playoffs.
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of guys. There's still not a lot of guys who've gotten traded by a team and have had this second a great second act. Yes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Not a lot, but you can name
not a lot, but there's been some, man. There's been some.
But I mean, look at Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill had a resurgence, but I don't believe he's the answer in Tennessee.
He took them to the AFC Championship.
Right? Game. Yeah, he took them to the AFC title game, bro.
That was his peak.
That was the Tennessee's peak for the next.
Right.
I mean, that's his peak.
I just saw Tannehill's peak.
Just pretend I'm not in the room, I guess. You know.
Go ahead. I mean, if you would like to speak up on it, Sam, go ahead. I'm just saying,
you can't keep anybody healthy.
Well, yes, okay, but they're making a conservative effort by Vrabel this year to make sure that these guys aren't all beat all to hell like he's been doing, and that includes a totally different workout regimen, days off, and everything. Gosh, that's funny. Anyway, but and when it comes to Tannehill, I agree. I agree with you. He's a good regular season quarterback, not a great playoff quarterback. But once again, we've talked about this before. Who else is out there?
He's serviceable.
Yeah, he's serviceable. Right. That's exactly the term.
Serviceable. So don't get it done when.
Well, you can't have Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers every single time you go get a guy. You need
but you could have
Nick. Just spoiled ass. You go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
now Jordan Love.
Spoiled
if you ain't got a Hall of Famer,
for the next 5 years.
Don't forget when we talk about Trey Lance. He didn't play a lot of college football. He did not play a lot of college football.
Yeah, he got screwed over by COVID.
Yeah. So to me, he's just.
I agree. He will be.
I'd say within a year or two, he's just growing into being a NFL quarterback. But is that going to be enough time for the Niners to say, "Hey Trey, you know we're not playing you. We're going to let you grow"? I don't think it's going to be enough time. I think if
he may need to change the scenery, man. He may need to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Somebody like Denver, trade for him, let him sit behind. You know what I'm saying? Russell Wilson, see if Sean Payton can do something with him.
You guys, who else is in here? He's been sitting behind guys.
I'm just saying. I don't mean this year. I mean like after this offseason. After this offseason, you could trade him to a Denver. I'm trying to think of like coaches that are like really good with quarterbacks.
Kyle Shanahan is a really good quarterback. He's been a quarterback.
He's a good offensive mind. He's a good offensive mind. I don't know about with the quarterbacks. He's had good quarterbacks.
Johnny, let me ask you something.
With Trey Lance, you can't get done with Kyle Shanahan.
Tanner and Johnny, and Nick and Sam, let me ask you something. Matt Ryan, his best year, who was the offensive coordinator?
Kyle Shanahan. It was Kyle Shanahan.
So Kyle Shanahan knows how to develop quarterbacks and knows how to develop offensive pieces.
Dude, he was already developed. Come on, bro.
Yeah, Matt Ryan
was already developed. He just had a great offense that he gave him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Kyle more that way. His offense is what's great.
I think
not so much the quarterback whisperer type. No, I don't.
I think we're walking down the road now of saying Trey Lance is a bust.
That's 1,001%.
Yeah, we're starting to walk.
Yeah,
we are walking.
Yeah, as the number 3 pick. Yes.
Can we also just say that Kyle Shanahan as a head coach is not the right choice?
It's possible. Yes.
Yeah, I want to say it. If he goes
guys are better as coordinators and more successful as coordinators,
he took a team to the Super Bowl.
He has a spoiled ass defense who saves his whole offense the entire time.
Oh, we're back.
If he had to rely on just his offense, this team is going forward.
The problem is he doesn't know when he has the lead to just run the fucking football. That's the problem,
and that's also the issue. I think you got to
wait, Tanner. Though, repeat that, Tanner. If he didn't have a defense, what?
If he didn't have a defense and he had to rely on his offense, this team goes 4-13.
No,
I agree.
Wow,
well, close to that.
Because you don't have a set quarterback.
I would like.
Okay, yes, because of the quarterback.
And he's been saved by his defense so many times.
I don't. I question the quarterback whisperer only because I feel like quarterback whisperers are generally more supportive, and Kyle Shanahan didn't shy away from throwing anybody under the bus through the football.
Right.
Anybody. I
like Kyle. I like Kyle Shanahan.
Me too. Brilliant offensive mind, but I wouldn't call him a quarterback whisperer. I call him the quarterback agitator of anything.
Right. Doug Peterson and Andy Reid.
He's never happy.
Yeah. Guys like that with the quarterbacks.
You got us to the Super Bowl.
I think we'll do a good job with
for that guy we just drafted.
And I think any team that trades for Trey Lance and says he's going to be our savior, this is the guy. You're as delusional as the next coach.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Miami Dolphins. Johnny doesn't want that headache down there.
Hell no, bro. I got enough headache as it is. I don't want to deal with that. But I'm just saying, you send him to one of those organizations that have those type of quarterback coaches or offensive minds. Like I said, a Doug Peterson, Andy Reid. Obviously, he's not going to Kansas City or Jacksonville because they already have established quarterbacks. But I'm just saying, offensive-minded coaches like that are all about the quarterback. Kyle Shanahan is about, just like his dad, is about the running game and, you know what I'm saying, all the different running schemes and stuff like that. They don't want their quarterback to do much.
They have to have a defense. They have to have a defense.
Yes, they have to have a defense.
Yes. Every team has to have a defense.
Every team has to have somewhat of a defense.
Our defense is mid-tier, and we're still scoring.
You just talked about Tom Brady. You just mentioned Tom Brady. Tom Brady,
and Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes.
His whole career.
No defense. Are you kidding me?
Well, here's a move that would be just a normal move for a team. San Francisco would trade them to the Raiders for a second-round draft pick. That would just be the normal thing that the Raiders would do.
Well, the Raiders would do some stupid shit like that and trade a second-round pick for him.
Because Jimmy G is the answer for 1 year and 1 year only.
Y'all are harsh.
That would be some shit.
And
Josh McDaniels.
Derek Carr.
Don't forget Josh McDaniels loved Tim Tebow. And Tim Tebow flamed out after McDaniels left. So I think that McDaniels would say, I'll take a shot on him. I bet
not according to Skip Bayless. I'm just kidding.
Man.
I know, I remember
that. He still beats the drum for that man, and I don't know why.
He does. He wants Tebow back in the league in the worst way so we can talk about him for
you talk about wrestling being fake. That guy's fake. That guy's 100% fake.
Oh, yeah. Ask Shannon Sharp his opinion on Bayless. He'll tell you all you need to know.
Yeah, and they're going to team him up with Richard Sherman? Oh, give me a break.
This is a disaster.
Little Wayne, too. Little Wayne.
It's going to be like a rotating thing. I heard Rachel Nichols might be part of it, too. So it's going to be like a rotating. It's going to be a bunch of different people.
You got to find a way to
whose other souls can he drain, or is he like the divorced child? They get him every other weekend. You know, it's your turn.
That's when he stays fit and young. He just gets all these young people in the ceiling costume.
Taking the souls out of people. Yep.
I own your soul.
I gave Shannon Sharp a chance, and look what he did to me.
Amen to that, Tim. Amen to that, Ed. Amen to that.
Oh, my God.
Jesus could walk on water, but he can't throw a football.
Praying for you, Ed. I'm praying for you. Your sacrilegious ways.
Yeah. I can't wait till
By the way,
I can't wait till Thursday, bro. I can't wait. Programming note. Make sure that you click on those notifications because on the Scott Cope show on Thursday, we will have the one and only Ed in Columbus on the show, and that is gonna be a blast, man. I can't wait for that shit.
Ed isn't actually an AI writing all this shit.
Whatever. As long as he keeps he's that funny on the show, we'll be straight.
And save some of them for Thursday, please.
Right.
So guys, as we're continuing waiting for Jim here, before I kind of get off here, but I wanted to ask your thoughts here on the J.K. Dobbins signing too, and does that put any fancy weight into you? That put anything into the Ravens for you? Knowing that they have Gus Edwards and whoever, Justice Hill, whatever the heck it is, all behind, as the running backs. But does this J.K. Dobbins now becoming active finally be able to participate in training camp and preseason? Does this help them at all?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, I mean, Dobbins last year had a 6 yard per carry average at the end of the season. People seem to forget
Tyler Huntley out of everybody.
Yeah, with Tyler Huntley as the quarterback. So Yeah, it does. I mean, it makes Baltimore a little bit more dangerous, and I think defenses have to play Baltimore normally. They can't focus on one thing or the other, because if they focus on stopping the passing game, Dobbins will go off. If they bring up an extra guy or two in the box to stop Dobbins, then Lamar will just throw it to Andrews and Zay Flowers and maybe Odell and Rashad Bateman. So, yeah, it makes Baltimore a little bit more scarier on offense in that division. Am I saying they're going to win the division? I'm not sure about that. I don't think they are. I think Cleveland and Cincinnati definitely is a little better than Baltimore, and I think Cleveland might be on their level. So
I'll still stick to my Baltimore pick. So
yeah,
it's not a bad pick. I mean, it's not a bad pick.
No, J.K.
Dobbins. I'm sticking to my Baltimore pick.
J.K. Dobbins is a bad boy, bro.
Keep telling me now.
Yeah,
we've talked about this before. The second year off of an injury is usually when they come back to be 100% more themselves. I expect him to have a good year, especially with the threat of Lamar and then the threat of now these new receivers and stuff like that. They're not going to be able to stack the box all that much with all that speed on the outside. So he should run wild. So he should have a good year.
I agree.
Now,
what do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on him a little bit. We'll just see. Like, I'm gonna kind of wait and see. Like, this is year 2. He came on after the second half of the season, like Scott said. So it's just one of them deals. Like, if he's there later, it just all depends, especially in fantasy. But I picked this team to go third. I think I actually picked him for last. I don't know. I can't remember.
No, you picked last.
Okay, so I think all 4 of these teams, Ravens, Pittsburgh, Bengals, Browns, all 4 you can make a good argument for them to win this division.
No, you did pick him last.
Yeah, I thought so.
There's Ravens in this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. I just don't. I'm not buying into. Lamar will probably get hurt. I think Odell's past his prime. Dobbins has still got to prove something here. Like I mean,
he's got to stay healthy too. He's got to stay healthy.
He hasn't done.
Well, he actually
that's a big if thing. The best ability is availability in football, in all sports.
100%.
Let me ask you guys this before Jim comes on and Tanner goes, I want to switch gears to the NBA. James Harden came out and said, Daryl Morey is a liar. I'll never be part of a franchise with him in it. Then why the hell did you opt in? Like, you could have been a free agent, you dumbass, and then you opted in for the money, and then you asked to be traded, and Daryl's saying, well, you already opted in, so you're on our team. And now you're saying, I don't want to be part of this franchise because Daryl Morey's a liar. Well, then if he was such a liar, that sure as shit didn't stop you from opting into your huge contract, and now you're stuck like Chuck. What's your guys' Sam, nearly world to the basketball world, but what's your thoughts here on James Harden?
It only took me one Google search to realize how much of a headache and a jackass this guy is. So that's what a guy. I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm with you. He opts in, so I'm like reading this, like, okay, what did this guy do? And I go through, and I'm like, oh, he's just an asshole. Okay,
basically.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't give him his personal massage therapist or Deshaun Watson's massage therapist.
So I said this on. And Sam, I don't know if you'll agree or you guys will agree. This is what I said. I think
I'm going to disagree just to spite you.
Got him.
That maybe the Sixers should have made some phone calls before Harden opted in, because I think the Sixers said, James, you opt in, we'll get you traded. Don't worry about it. You're gone. Well, he opted in, he trusted them, and now look what happened. So I think what should have happened is they should have made some calls, should have seen what the interest was, what they could get back from teams, and then say, okay, James, opt in. We have a trade on the table that'll work for us and work for you. Let's do it. Because Harden, Lillard, guys that say, I only want to go here, you're restricting teams from trading you where they need to trade you. So you can't just focus on one team. Like, I know he wants to go to the Clippers. That can't be the only focus in these trade talks. Philadelphia has to say to him, look, we'll try to get you to the Clippers, but if we can't, this is where we're going to get you to. This is what we have on the table. We like it. Go there, play well 1 year, and then go to free agency.
So, and this is this is his second stint with Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey paid the man a shit ton of money in Houston.
Yeah.
Then went to Philadelphia.
And traded for him to get him to Philadelphia.
So they've been linked at the hip. James Harden got a lot of money because Daryl Morey believed in him. So I don't understand calling him a liar. And maybe Scott, maybe you're right. Maybe they did tell him, "Hey, we'll trade you if you opt in." But here's the thing: like he opted in, and maybe James should have called some team. His agent should have called some teams too and said, "Hey, if I opt in, will you trade for me too? Because it takes two to tango."
Not only that, though, but to answer your question as far as why he opted in, because nobody was going to give him that money. Nobody was. So he opted in to guarantee that he gets that money. That's why he opted in.
Exactly.
It was
That is correct.
because they said they were going to trade me. No, he opted in because nobody in their right mind was going to give him the money he wanted.
He knew
he did that out of his best interest,
Correct.
and now he's mad that they're not giving him what he wants. So
Nick,
he's
you know
a
that
new
Daryl
kid
Morey also gave
that doesn't want to play with anybody else, so he's taking his basketball and he wants to go home. That's what
You know what
James
else
Harden
Daryl Morey
is.
gave him before Ed in Columbus makes the comment? He gave him the front row seat to the strip club in Houston. That's the other comment.
Yeah.
So, like, is somebody just too much of a headache at one point? Like, take away talent. Like, isn't there just some point where you're
That's
like,
the thing, though. Is
I
you can't
can't
take
do
away
this.
the talent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if they're talented, they get away with
that's
it.
what he
They
did.
get away with it.
That's what he did.
I mean, I get it. I'm
He became
just like,
James
geez.
Larden. That's why I said in the text message today to you guys
Yeah.
talking about it. James Larden. He came out. He was like 15, 25 pounds overweight. And then when he got to the Nets, he just lost it all and he came back fit.
Tanner, do you remember why he got traded out of Oklahoma City? Was it a financial thing or was it?
Yeah.
something
So this is why
financial.
it was financial.
OKC
So
not wanting to pay.
they had all three guys at that time: Durant, Westbrook, and Harden. They thought they didn't know if they could be able to pay all three of them, so they're like, "Hey, we're going to trade James Harden a year too early instead of bringing the whole group back." And that's the reason. And he wasn't even a headache. He was a sixth man. He was a sixth man of the year, I believe.
Yeah, he was
in OKC, and then went to become this superstar in Houston. I believe his talent. I believe the headache's too much for the talent wise, because if you look at I don't give a shit about the regular season, especially in the NBA. Put up as many points as you want, put up as many 50 burgers as you want. What matters the most is the playoffs. And when the lights are the brightest, James Harden has been nowhere to be found. And the fact that the 76ers, after the last 2 or 3 games, this season and last season, the postseason, he was nowhere to be found. Why would you even want to pay that man that kind of money? Because he is nowhere to be found.
One time in the series, last series.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing happened in Houston. Every time they got to the Western Conference Finals or Game 7, where was his game at? Where was
you would have James
at
Harden
the strip club? It was still at the strip club.
Even in the hospital because he tripped over a cord or something like that, and it's or he sneezed backwards. I don't know what Chris Paul does. So that's the issue.
But the beard game, though.
He does not perform in the big situations, number one. And number two, Tyrese Maxey came on in the playoffs against the Celtics last year. He played a really good series. And if Harden is back, he's going to hold back Maxey to a certain point. So they need to find a way to trade him. Even if it's not to the Clippers, just trade him. Get rid of him. Pay most of that salary. Do whatever you need to do. And maybe it's for Thursday because I know what they'll have. Please, just get rid of him, Philadelphia. I don't like.
I mean, I think that's what they're trying to do. I mean, except for the fact that they would have taken a loss as far as not gotten anything for him. But they were probably hoping that he wouldn't opt in. Then they wouldn't have had to deal with him at all.
They're closed on the situation.
But they're stuck with him. So I think they're trying to do the best they can. They're trying to accommodate him, but at the same time, they're trying to do what's best for the organization. So him coming out with this whole, he's a lie, bro. Again, he's that kid that gets upset and takes his basketball and goes home.
Are the Sixers willing to pay any of his contract to offload him? Have we heard any of that?
Not yet.
I don't know.
It's coming. It'll be coming during the season.
I mean, more comments like this, and the next one's going to be at the owner. He's going to
he's going to come in the training camp.
He's going to try to blow it up so that they force them.
He's going to come in a training camp fatter than us 5 combined weight. So
he's going to go to the closet. that meme where he's staring at the James Harden suit, where he can put it on, and
he's going to be looking like you guys remember Gilbert Brown is inside, or Albert Hainsworth or something like that. Like that's what he's going to be coming in. So
it's going to be Indiana Jones when he. It's Indiana Jones when he knocks that Nazi out.
All right, Tanner.
Have fun with Mr. Biringer. I know there's a lot of good stuff there in that short amount of time. And Jonathan's back from Scotland, so I got to go grab some stuff here. So everybody,
all right.
Have a good show.
All right, bro.
Hey, Tanner, before we get to our guest, go ahead and get us through that ad read.
Underdog.
All right. Well, no, actually, I'm not going to do that one now, Sam, just because you said that. I'm going to let you know about our friends over at Owner's Box. The Owner's Box Daily Fantasy app. Make sure you use the promo code LTS, and they will match your first deposit up to $500. I still can't believe that. That's crazy. You don't have to put down $500. You can put down 100, 200, whatever you want to do as your first deposit. But they will match you all the way up to $500. Again, it's the Owner's Box Daily Fantasy app. Make sure you use the promo code LTS, and again, they'll match you up to $500. That's still crazy to me, $500. But you put up $5, they'll match you $5, and you got yourself a G to start off with. So definitely check them out. Owner's Box Daily Fantasy app.
Johnny, that's the magic of Mr. Dan Harris.
Shout out to Dan Harris, the super producer. Not feeling well and still hooks us all up and sets everybody up to look as good as possible on these shows, because we would not look nearly as good as we do without Mr. Dan Harris. So shout out to Dan. All right, so let's bring in the man.
Let's go ahead and give it up.
The most interesting man in the world.
Every Monday night. He joins us every Monday night. We're talking hockey. We're talking wrestling. We're talking college football. Give it up for our guest, none other than Mr. Jim Biringer, baby.
Yeah. What's up? What's up? Yeah.
He gets a top turnbuckle too. Look at him.
That's right here. Bam on all of yous. Yo, what's up, my maniacs here on Monday night? What's going on?
Jim's on location again.
Yeah, are you? Where are you at? Where are you at tonight? And I noticed you're doing a lot of skating here lately.
Always skating, baby. You got to skate every day. Big season coming up. Let's go. I'm up in Vermont. I drove up today. I played a little hockey this morning, so I just came up here. Nice week. Close it out before summer closes up here. So nice little getaway. But as I told Tanner, I always make time for my maniacs on Monday night.
Appreciate that.
We always appreciate it, Jim. What's cracking in the hockey world as we starting to get ready for a new season?
All right, so obviously we touched on it last week, the Erik Karlsson trade to Pittsburgh. That was the big deal last weekend. We really didn't get too much into it, so that's the big topic.
Yeah,
obviously, Scott will get to David Krejci's news today, but that's not really a big surprise because I kind of mentioned that one already. But Erik Karlsson, the Penguins, look, everybody's been asking me over these last week and a half, is this a needle mover? Does this make the Penguins better? And be honest, this might be a hot take, but I hear a lot of people saying the same thing. It doesn't make them better. He's a good player. He's a good power play guy, but it doesn't move the needle for me. This team is still a wild card team at best with Washington, with the Islanders. Look, he's a great offensive player, but he just doesn't play defense. You have an older defense now with Letang, with Karlsson. Crosby's getting up there. Look, Crosby put up another 93-point season, fine, but Malkin's older. Carter's older. Getzel's hurt. Riley Smith's going to come in. That's great. But you know what the biggest question mark is in between the pipes. When you're paying Tristan Jarry for 5 years at $5 million, he better stop the puck. He hasn't shown to me he can do that right now. So, look, Karlsson is a great acquisition. It's a great hockey trade because if you look at what everybody got, right, the Penguins, they shedded salary that they didn't want in Granlund, and they moved out Ruda. Then Montreal picks up Petrie, and Penguins retain salary on that. But they moved Hoffman and Ryan Pitlick to San Jose, and they didn't retain any salary. And I think Jeff Petrie is going to be on the move before the season starts, so they'll retain money there. But overall, it's a great hockey trade. Again, for me, with the Penguins, what they did, they had to get a third team involved because you just can't take on $11 million. Now, they got $10 million tied up in him. Letang's making $6 million, Malkin's making $6 million. When it becomes Chicago time, it could be a 10-year rebuild. So, I mean, look, Penguins, there's going to be some hard times coming soon in Pittsburgh with the Islanders, with Washington. Just teams are just too old, and you got to go the other way at some point.
If they do fail, Jim, will you sing "A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall" in your best Bob Dylan voice?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Look, Kyle Dubas. Look, Clip it. Look, Kyle Dubas was aggressive. Kelly McCrimmon was probably the most aggressive general manager in the National Hockey League for Vegas. There's like no loyalty on that team. You saw Riley Smith gone. Like, yeah, okay, you want us a cup? Okay, bye. We need to shed salary. Look, he went to be aggressive. He's making moves, the moves he couldn't make when he was in Toronto. Obviously, we saw that power there. He's the president of hockey ops, the general manager now. He's making a lot of moves, but I still think it was a mistake to re-sign Jari at that much money for that long. I'm just not sold on him. He needs to have a good year to turn it for the Penguins, for them to, because that's what they needed last year. If they just got to save, they're in the playoffs. Why are you losing to Chicago? Like, you need to be able to stop teams. And I go back to 2022 in the playoffs. And in 2021, defensively, this team is still not good enough. You cannot outscore your problems in the National Hockey League.
Okay, let's get to the most surprising news of the offseason. David Krejci retiring. Yeah, here we go. Krejci and Bergeron both retiring.
Yep.
What does this do? I have a feeling I know what, but these two guys are like Mr. Bruins, for the last decade. What do you think it does to the Bruins, and where do you think they go to try to fill his position?
That's a good question. I mean, they're right up against the cap, right? Look, give a shout out. David Krejci announced his retirement today. Not really a surprise considering Bergeron announced. I mean, that was kind of the sentiment coming out of the end of the season. Yeah, Krejci, Bergeron are going to be both done. And that's how the Bruins operated their offseason. Pavel Zacha is your number one center now, followed by Charlie Coyle and Morgan Geeky's on the third line. I would not be surprised if Geeky gets a shot in the top six, just because how good he plays at that position. I'm going to be interested to see it Zacha because, he was a high draft pick for New Jersey. You're playing with Pasternak or DeBrusk with Marchand. I think he's going to be okay there. As far as what the Bruins do, well, Winnipeg has a center in Mark Scheifele. The Flames have Elias Lindholm. He's also a center. So those are two teams and two players that potentially could be on the move. Now, do they get it done before the season? I'm not sure they get it done before the season. I think this is the team the Bruins have, and we're going to see come the trade deadline if they, especially with Lindholm, I think that's the guy to do it.
Do the Bruins fall into like the 5, 6, 7 seeds in the East somewhere in there? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're where everybody pegged them last year, myself included. Like everybody last year said, okay, they're coming back. It's an older team. Krejci, Bergeron. There'll probably be a wild card team with everybody. If everybody's doing what they're doing, there'll be a wild card team. Nobody saw that. And I think there'll be a wild card team. I wouldn't be, to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if they're top 3, though, in the Atlantic because Florida has so many injuries they have to deal with to start the year. And Boston's Boston, right? Jim Montgomery's such a good coach. You still got Marchand in that locker room. Lucic is back. That lot, even if Bergeron's not there, that culture, and they're going to want to go win. You still have a good defense. You still have both goaltenders. That team's not going anywhere. Now the expectations are coming back to earth a lot. I mean, nobody expects them to do what they did last year. Nobody.
Yeah, no, they're not going to. There's no way.
Nobody's doing. Yeah.
All right, our boy Ed has a question from you from Columbus, bro. As a Blue Jackets fan,
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Adam Fantilli, baby. That's right. This kid. Look at this kid is. Hockey IQ is probably one of the best I've seen. If it wasn't for Bedard coming out this year, this is Adam Fantilli's draft. I am very, very shocked that he did not go to Anaheim. Leo Carlsson, you better have a good season for Pat Verbeek's sake. And it's no pressure on the kid, but there is pressure on the kid. But Fantilli and Columbus, look, there's a ton of Michigan guys there that he knows. He's going to help Johnny Gaudreau so much. Good center, hockey IQ, great passes. He's won everywhere. He's got the great mindset. Originally, he was going to go back to Michigan this year, but then they convinced him, hey, might be better for your development coming to Columbus. And the fact of the matter is he's taken third overall. Everybody's going to be talking about Bedard. Columbus has improved. Mike Babcock, that system. Now let's see if Babcock's really changed in the style that he plays. But I think hopefully more offensive minded for these young kids because they got a lot of talent on this team. And if they can stay healthy, that's the key for Columbus. They're going to be improved. I don't think they're a playoff team, but they'll be there maybe till like the deadline, and then they kind of fall off. But again, Mike Babcock coach team, those teams are never out of anything.
So one more hockey question, Jim. In 3 weeks, I'll be out. Tell me about Vegas and what you think their offseason has been like and what you think, what the expectations are. Again, I know Stanley Cup probably the expectations, but what realistically do you think with them?
Realistically, I think Vegas should be the favorite to repeat. Look, I just posted an article, and I've talked about this a lot of places. I don't know if there's just no faith in Aiden Hill or the team or whatever. Vegas, to me, is still the best team until proven otherwise, right? They're the Stanley Cup champions. They should be the favorite to repeat. The fact that Carolina and Colorado, especially Colorado, is ahead of them, I have no idea. Right. Colorado namesake only. I really believe that. But Vegas, look, yeah, you lose Riley Smith, but you keep Ivan Barbashev. You re-sign Aiden Hill. The defense is still the same with Martinez, Pietrangelo. They're big. They're nasty, right? You're gonna see some development there. Marchessault's still there. Jack Eichel, right? Stone's gonna be what he is with the back. He's gonna be in and out of the lineup this year. But you know what? Come the playoffs, this team is built to win. Bruce Cassidy, this team is Bruce Cassidy coached teams. They're never out of anything. And the way Vegas has come into the National Hockey League, all his team has done is made history. Why do I think they're not going to repeat? I just have this feeling like we could see another repeat champ this year just because of the way I've seen Eichel play and his progression. Barbashev's there. Again, can Eden Hill do it? Okay, great. If he can't, well, Logan Thompson's going to be healthy, right? So you have your goaltending. Your defense is still there. This team is really relatively the same minus Riley Smith. Okay, we'll just plug and play some other guys into his position and we'll be fine, which they've done. So I don't really have a problem with Vegas. I think they had a good offseason. I expected them to re-sign Ivan Barbashev, and they did. And now, the biggest question is going to be Robin Leonard's probably going to go on LTIR, which will open up space for them to add another player, which they will because that's what Kelly McCrimmon does. That's all they do is go add players, and then when they do it, hey, you know what? And then they go win. So I expect Vegas to be back in the playoffs and Western Conference final at least, right?
Is it Edmonton that's their challenge this year coming up?
I think so. Yeah, I think Edmonton. But the thing is, like, if you look at the Pacific, right, you have Vegas, Edmonton, LA. Edmonton, to me, their defense is still questionable. Goaltending, what can they do? Yes, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, right? You bring in Connor Brown. Okay, LA's made the move for Dubois. They bring in Talbot. For LA to make it, LA needs to make a deep run, but they're going to have to get by both of those teams. By the way, let's not forget Seattle's out there too, and they're only improving. So it's going to be a dogfight in that Pacific, but I still have Vegas to win that division. So if LA wants to come out of it, everything goes through Vegas, and I think Edmonton's their biggest challenge. But again, I would pick Vegas still against Edmonton just because. Everything even. I'm taking the team that plays most complete, and I'm not relying on it. Not picking the team that relies on two players half the time.
Hey, Jim and Nick, do you want to answer Hunter's question really fast?
Go ahead and bring us on.
10-year game plan. This is year one. We just got through year one of the 10-year rebuild.
Rebuild. Look,
if you keep digging down, eventually you'll reach the other side, right?
Look, I'll tell you this: Bedard's gonna make the Blackhawks a fun team to watch. It's gonna be must see, like the Penguins. Penguins are gonna be must see TV with all these stars.
It's rude to call people retards. Okay,
I didn't say they were retards.
Yeah, Jim, I want to switch gears a little bit.
That's a no word.
Talk a little wrestling with you. We got the Y on the Jay and Jimmy situation. Now Jay is allegedly out of the WWE. We all know that's kind of kayfabe, right? But hey, so he's out of. What do you think's going to happen? Are they going to keep him out maybe till the Royal Rumble, and then he comes back to set up a Mania event with Jimmy? We got the why, and are you buying into the why Jimmy betrayed Jay?
I hate the why, okay? I don't like the why. But to protect you, come on, I'd rather the jealousy angle. At least that's like believable. Oh, I'm protecting you because you can turn into a monster.
Comment. Thank you, Quick Tips.
I mean, look, Jay's at the WWE. I mean, there's a Survivor Series poster already out with him on it. I mean, things change, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, that's what I would do. I keep him out to the Royal Rumble and then build to WrestleMania because that's a WrestleMania match. It seems like the Bloodline's gonna be off TV for a little bit.
In the city of brotherly love, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, WrestleMania, Philly.
It works.
It works, right? Cody's probably gonna have his rematch there, so it kind of all ties together. Look, the why is the why, right? But I like the way Jey Uso left SmackDown. He's like, yo, I'm out the Bloodline, I'm out of SmackDown, I'm out of WWE. And then he was gone. And I was like, this is great. Like, I love the fact that this angle is continuing. But again, what's next? Who's stepping up? I mean, obviously we know who's going to step up. But, with these guys off TV, something else has to draw people's attention. Obviously, we have LA Knight. Is LWO going to turn on Ray because of what happened on Friday night? Like, that's something I'm looking into. Again, on Raw, we got Seth and we got Nakamura.
The Mysterios, father and son, are both like North American champions. You know what I mean? Like, that's gotta get like
Yeah.
So Jim, here's my opinion. They broke the Usos up way too fast.
For 100%.
For weeks and months, they've been they're out. They're out of the Bloodline. Finally, they get out of the Bloodline, and now all of a sudden you put Jimmy back into the Bloodline again because supposedly the rumor is Friday night he's going to acknowledge Roman Reigns as the tribal chief. How soon did they break him up, in your opinion, and how soon do they possibly maybe reunite them or face them off against each other?
I think it was too soon, to be honest. They just broke them up. You just had the tag team match. Like, if you were gonna do it, again, the jealousy angle would have been like, well, I'm the one that got you out of the Bloodline. I'm the one that made you do all this, right? Like, Jimmy's like, how come isn't my time to shine? Like, how come I didn't get the title shot at SummerSlam? Right. Like, stuff that's like kind of believable, but to protect you, to become like that's. So I think it's just too quick. I think they should have slow burned it a little bit. Like, maybe have another tag match or Fatal 4, something happen, and somebody kicks somebody, and here we go. Like, we go down that road. But again, it's WWE, and they want to hot shot stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Again, are fans getting tuned out of the Bloodline? Maybe. They want other things, but it's a great story what happened on Friday Night SmackDown. I thought, everything's been playing out really well. But we got to get – the problem is for me is the way Roman's challengers before that, there was a chance maybe somebody was going to win. There was no believable chance that Jay was going to win. So it was like, okay, who's next? Like, who's the next believable challenger for Roman? Is it Cody? Like, what are they doing at the Rumble? Like, they got to set some things up here. So maybe with time off, they can figure it out. They can figure it out.
So Nick and Jim,
let me ask you.
Do you ask? It's got to be Cody. It has to be Cody.
Has to be.
That's got to be the guy that beats Roman.
Documentary just came out.
I would think so.
I would think it's Cody. It has to be. Like, if it's not Cody, then I don't know who it is.
Just keep the championship on him until he retires. That's what you got to do.
Jim, it's being reported that Friday night could be Edge's last match against Sheamus in his hometown in Toronto. What's your thoughts here as we may see the last of the R-rated superstar in the ring? And do you have a favorite Edge moment?
It'd be the fact that a lot of people are coming out, including his trainer, saying this could be his farewell match. A little surprising, just because I think he deserves a farewell tour. Like, not just end it. Like, in Toronto, I get it. Like, it's Toronto, it's his hometown, like all that. And the shirt, by the way, I know some people who live up there. I already texted him. I was like, yo, you got to get me one of them shirts. Like, those things look so good. Yeah. And I actually texted somebody in Calgary, too, that I know when they were for SmackDown. And I was like, yo, you got to get me that shirt because it looks hot. But favorite Edge moment, man, so many good ones. I think WrestleMania 17, the spear off the 20-foot ladder, that was that's like big moment. I think the first cash in too was really big for him. The fact that they made him a transitional champion, like going back and forth with Cena, was kind of dumb, but I think it showed that they could carry it. I know he won his first Intercontinental title over Jeff Jarrett, so that was cool. But so many great moments for Edge. I think the comeback when he came back in the Rumble, that was a surprise. And that was like a legit, true surprise because no one knew he was coming.
Yeah, we don't get very many surprises like that to me in wrestling anymore, right? Because of the internet, like, and kayfabe's gone and things like that. We always, the dirt sheets, and then to see hear his music. And like, if you go watch like that video and like, it still gives me goosebumps to this day. Like when you see the crowd just erupt and it was absolutely wild. I agree with that one. The obviously the spirit, the whole TLC series, right? Like,
dude, that was like, go back to like the first one too. Like technically it was just a ladder match. It was a triangle ladder match at WrestleMania 2000 with Dudleys and Hardys. But that was ridiculous. The Edge and Christian versus Hardy's ladder match, No Mercy. Like the fact what those guys did with the ladder match and just took it to like another level. You can't even like overstate the words. But so many great matches for Edge. So many great moments. Like if it is his last match, good for him going out in Toronto against a buddy. But I wonder if it is truly his last match, is like Christian going to be there? Is FTR going to be there? But it's Saturday. I mean, it's Friday. Can they make a quick flight? Like, because, along with Sheamus, like he didn't mention it on air, but we know when he was in North Carolina training for his big return, Dax and Cash helped him out in the ring along with Sheamus and a bunch of guys. Yeah. So, like, if that is his last match, I would think those guys want to be there for him.
Well, the thing, it's anticlimactic that he's ended it on SmackDown.
Right, exactly. You wouldn't think it should be like at a pay-per-view or something.
Yeah, that's number one.
And he said he wants to win the world title still. So I just don't. I'll believe it. If he calls it quits Friday, great. If he doesn't, hey, more Edge. I like it.
I was going to say, do you think it's a work, right? Like, do you think this is a work maybe?
I think it might be a work because I think it's a ratings thing too, because I think when he was on Grayson Waller's thing, he said that he didn't have any plans of retiring soon. So he didn't have any plans to retire. So
what a career that guy's had. First, it's like medical injury, he's done, and then he's back. It's just crazy, the ups and downs of it all.
The first time he had to retire, he beat Alberto Del Rio in Boston. And then I guess the next day they told him he had to leave. His neck was so bad he's done. So that was cool. Yeah, the coolest thing would be if he's retiring, if Christian could somehow find his way on the camera and meet at the top of the ramp, like when Roman Reigns had the cancer scare. The other guys came out on the ramp and hugged him and stuff like that. That would be awesome if that could happen. I don't know if Tony Khan would go for that, but
I don't know if Tony Khan would go for that either.
I know that. That would be cool if that happened.
I mean, it would be cool because he's a big-time mark. So, I mean, I think it would be, look, remember.
Didn't somebody, when they were doing some sort of appreciation thing for somebody, I think it was Jericho, they allowed Jericho or somebody to shoot a video for WWE. I think it might have been Jericho or somebody in the AEW.
Yeah, no, they were doing Jericho's like 25 years or whatever it was or something. Yeah. Somebody in WWE shot video of him and they sent it in.
Yeah, I can't. Maybe it was vice versa. I can't remember but either way, like, so there's those moments where I think as fans, put the companies aside, like, hey, we got to do what's best for the people, the fans, and what's best for these two guys.
I think Tony Khan would allow it.
I think Tony Khan would allow it. I'm not sure if Vince would be okay with a rival company having one of his wrestlers.
Would Triple H be okay with it after this back surgery when all the court subpoenas came down?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Triple H might be okay with it, but again, it's still Vince's company. So
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's Endeavor's company. It's
Endeavor's company now, but again,
Yeah.
Vince Still's the head honcho. If I'm putting money on it, I'm not sure we see Christian Friday, but you never know. You never say never in the world of business and wrestling, right?
I wonder if it's Edge's last match, if they have something post SmackDown and Christian comes out then.
Maybe that would be
that.
cool. I could see that. Yeah, definitely. I could see that.
Yeah. I could see that. All right, well, Jim, we appreciate you joining us every Monday. Thanks. We'll let you get out of here. I know you had a busy day. We'll see you next Monday, buddy.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
I'll
Jim.
be here. I got thoughts on the All-In card next week and what CM Punk said the other night on Collision after the show went off the air. So I got some hard thoughts on them. So, but you know where you can find me Monday nights with my Maniacs.
Yes,
LA Night, is the man. Yeah.
Jim, whose game is it, Jim?
Give it up for the most interesting person in the world. None other than Jim Biringer, baby. Biringer Bombs.
Biringer Bombs. Whose game is it? LA Night. Yeah.
See you, Jim. We appreciate you, brother. We'll holler at you
All
next
right,
week.
man. Be safe. Have a good one, bro.
Boys, have a good one.
See you, Jim.
Always a pleasure.
Yep. Freaking love that guy.
Dude, he's a fucking treasure, bro. He is a treasure, bro.
LA Night, yeah.
Seriously, that is he's
Johnny. Let's go ahead and get to our next ad read while we're waiting on Jonathan. Hopefully, if
Yes,
he's
Underdog.
Oh my god. Hold on 1 second. It's hard doing everything. Shout out to Tanner for all the shit that he does. Props to him. All right, let me let you know about
Johnny,
Underdog.
Scott doesn't have his glasses. He can't read, and Sam
Scott doesn't have his glasses,
and I just can't read. That's right.
So
I just can't read.
But check out the Underdog app. You can download it to your mobile device, so you can go to underdog.com. Again, make sure you use the promo code LTS, and they will match you up to $100 on your first deposit. They have all the best ball drafts of all sports, and of course the daily fantasy drafts. Underdog app, or go to underdog.com. Again, make sure you use the promo code LTS. Not only does it help you get a matching deposit of $100, but it helps out LTS. It helps out Dan so that he can give away jerseys and all that great stuff that Dan does for the community, because Dan ain't putting it in his pocket. Dan is giving it out to everybody else. So get your matching deposit of $100 by using the promo code LTS, and you help us out at the same time. But check out Underdog. Again, you can download the app or go to underdog.com.
Hammer it home, Nick.
Trying.
Hammer
He's
like busy doing something. He's like,
speaking of Dan,
he doesn't even know.
Did Dan comment in the comments?
No,
I
did
that was us.
I did that.
That was us.
Hey, let me ask you guys.
Hey, is this Mrs. First Down that you got over here saying all this stuff about the sick jersey and look at the hat?
I have no clue, but
I'm just joking. Quick tipster, appreciate the love, man. And not for nothing, but this layout is sick, yo. Shout out to Tanner, man.
I do
Tanner's
like
doing
it.
a great job.
Johnny, you know who Quick Tipster is? It's Flo.
No,
is it really?
Betrayal.
It could be. I don't know.
No,
I can't do this.
No, it's not.
Let me ask you guys this before waiting on Jonathan. Did you guys see this the Michael Orr business? Pretty much he's a legend. Like Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw they're all a bunch of fucking phonies. He did not they screwed him out of all the money from the movies.
Yeah,
get out of here. Yeah. I saw like the headline of it, but I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah,
so they screwed him out of his money. Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, you keep
he's saying that they kind of like did some like backdoor signatures and forged his name. He didn't get any of the money, towards any of that, towards any of the blind side.
Ooh. Sure.
Yeah, it's very disastrous for this kid. I mean, this kid's been through a lot in his life already, and now to go through this, I feel.
And the thing of it is what I don't understand is like this movie happened 10, 15 years ago. Right. Why the hell is he saying something now?
Yeah, I know that. I know.
Right. Like, why didn't he say something before?
Because he needs money.
Is he?
I mean, I get it, but if
the kid's burned through all his money. He just needs. As Sam just said, he needs the money. I mean, that's a simple fact. Financially, he's not in a good situation right now, or he's never been in a great situation because he just doesn't know what to do with money. So as soon as he gets it, he fritters it away. So that's the whole thing. These athletes they get these high paid contracts, and some of them just blow through it like it's nothing. Say, I've never had this.
You think it's going to keep on coming in forever. They don't realize, man, you only got a certain amount of time to make that money. So you got to invest it or do whatever you got to do. All right. Well, let's cut all the BS now. Let's get into our next guest who actually has good shit to say and good stuff to talk about. Are you ready for that?
We'll bring in our guest. He missed the last week. He was running from me after the Cubs took 2 out of 3 from his Atlanta Braves. He went clear across the country, gave up baseball, gave up watching baseball for the week, and was going to soccer games. Or over there they call it football. But either way, he had to take a week off after he was talking. He was talking mad shit to me when the Braves were pounding my Cubs and just talking mad shit. And then I texted him back. I said, payback. No response. I said, Cubs took 2 out of 3. I gave him the good old Kirk Cousins, you like that gift. And no response. He had to leave the country. That's how upset he was at me.
The shame.
Just the shame of this man. And now he's finally back in God's graces because he thought I would forget about the Cubs taking 2 out of 3 of them. But Bodkins doesn't forget, baby. He always comes for what's due and what's owed. Give it up for another guest joining us every Monday night. Former professional baseball player and leader of the Alpha Performance Academy. Give it up for another Jonathan Grishman, baby.
Yeah. What an intro.
Hold on.
That's what it is. You think I'll face you? It is what it is. I'll face you.
Jonathan, tell him. Shut up. Nick, shut up. Shut up, Nick.
We don't talk to Nick that way. We talk to Alan that way. Okay.
Welcome back, Jonathan. Welcome back.
So you would not have to face me after my Cubs took 2 out of 3. First, how was your trip? Looked like you had a great time.
I had a blast. It was a great trip. The golf course, got to play on a championship golf course, which was always fun. Shot at 88, actually, not terrible. It was, could have been a lot better, but
you would have shot better, Jonathan, if you had been drinking beer.
Not on that course. No way. There ain't no way I could do that. With drinking beer, which drinking, I guess, a lager or whatever they drink out in Scotland for that. I guess for scotch, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I could have done a little bit better if I had a few glasses of scotch in me. But no, there ain't no way. But it was fun. The golf course was absolutely immaculate. It was beautiful. The off the North Sea. Probably the best course I'll ever play. Hopefully, I get more chances to play in other courses. But it was great. Scotland itself was beautiful. The town and the old style towns, from like 1500s, 1600s, 17, beautiful as can be. London was awesome. I did get to partake in my first European soccer game. I am now a Arsenal FC fan because of it. I went and bought the shirt. I bought the scarf. I bought it was a cold game too, so I had to get the beanie with it. So I'm a Arsenal gunner. Fan with it as well, so I got to enjoy that. Got to experience a lot of the area in London, Stonehenge, Windsor Castle. It was just fun. It was a much needed my first vacation. God knows how many years I since I've had one. I don't even remember the last vacation I've taken. It was great. Every second of it was just awesome to be. And I'm out in Texas. It was the high. This is the best part. The highest temperature I got in Scotland was 66 degrees, 67 degrees. It was beautiful weather, and I come out here. It was 109 degrees when I landed in Dallas. I'm like, I'm gonna get back on that plane and go back to Scotland a little bit, enjoy that weather. But no, it was great. It was absolutely needed. No, Nick, I did not avoid you. Believe me.
It's funny. I never got a text message back. Not once. Not one.
Come on,
bro. He was across the
I don't
water
care, boys. I
enjoying
don't stick
the
up for him.
beautiful architecture
up
of all
for him.
these countries.
Don't
and you
stick
think
up
you
for
can't-
him.
And I'll say this, I
Cubs?
still watch my Braves, even though the game started at midnight. I still had the radio on, listening to the games as well. So I still was going on at that point. I was listening up till about 2 in the morning, listening to games going on there. So baseball didn't escape me. I still got to listen and partake. And I did. I listened to the games. I listened to the Cubs games, and I'm disappointed on that. But hey, then we took it out and beat up on the Mets, and we just beat up on the Yankees just now. So hey. Enjoy your little, your little victories right now. We'll see you in the playoff. Hopefully, maybe we'll see you. Maybe. All right? Because if you don't make the playoffs, all that shit talking you're doing was for nothing. Right now.
Hey, Jonathan, all my shit talking is always for nothing, buddy. Hey, you know that. All my shit talking is always for nothing.
We shit talking postseason. Make it to the postseason.
Oh, you do? Don't tell me that. You shit talk me first. You shit talked me first.
Well, I had to. We poured it on in the first game. I had to let you know. Hey, just a reminder. Your hot Cubs. Hey, they got cooled down a little bit. They got us in the last 2 games. You did. Yay. Bravo. You did.
Thank you.
You gonna take that, Nick? You gonna take that, Nick? You gonna take
Nick, 2 points.
He has to, bro. He has
to. Get to the dance when you get.
What the fight, Johnny?
Hopefully, you ask the pretty girl, get into the dance, and then come talk to us when you get to the dance.
Hey, I'll take a big fat ugly girl to the dance where I got to roll in flour and find the wet spot. Nick, if it gets me in.
Nick, 2 points. 2 points. Number 1, the Red Sox beat the Braves 2 games out of 2. I ain't shit talking to anybody because the Red Sox are terrible. That's number 1. Number 2, you don't hear Jonathan crap talking to Johnny because the Yankees lost to the Braves tonight, do you? So you know what?
He did take a shot.
He did take a shot.
He did take a shot.
He did. Hold on now. That's different because I hate the Yankees. That's just different. I don't care about the Cubs. Who are the Cubs to me in Atlanta? I don't care about the Cubs. I hate the Yankees. I hate the Mets. I'm glad we put up 26 runs in 27 runs in 2 games on the Mets. You don't think I was ecstatic about that? I was doing freaking cartwheels at 4:00 in the morning during those games because of it. I absolutely enjoyed every second we put up on the Mets right there. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait. Tomorrow morning, I'm texting my grandfather, who's a big Yankee fan. I'm going to send him a screenshot of the score. I go, oh, that was an ass whooping. I hate the Yankees. I'll shit talk the Yankees all day. I could give a damn.
You brought the heat back from Scotland.
Yes, he did. That Dallas Heat smacked him in the face, and now he's swinging on everybody.
Tune in 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for the baseball show. Jonathan will be on fire again.
Jonathan, I want to get your experience, though. Okay. Tell us about the experience at the Arsenal game. Where do you rate that as far as outings? You've been to SEC football games. I know you've been to SEC baseball, pro baseball, football. Where do you rate that Arsenal soccer? Because on TV, you can tell those fans are just in tune with everything.
So I'll say this. I'll put it this way here, but just about myself. That I am a true sports guy. And here's the reason why I say that. Because I had the option with my family. My family went to Buckingham Palace to go see that. I chose to go to the Arsenal FC game. I passed up on the opportunity to see historical Buckingham Palace to go to a soccer game. Just put it right there. I am a true sports guy through and through because of that. And I am proud. I don't regret it one bit. Just saying right there. That is it right.
So you went to the game by yourself. You went to the game by yourself.
Yes, I did.
He made the right choice.
I get the historical side of Buckingham Palace. I get it 100%. I'm a sports guy. I went to a game. I wanted to go to a game. I wanted to experience. I always wanted the opportunity to experience what a European soccer game would be like. And there was opportunities to go. There's other games and everything. Arsenal was the closest one. I don't know much about the teams themselves. I know about the big teams. I do know a little, like Arsenal. I do know a little bit about Manchester United, Manchester City, Everton, the Chelsea, the bigger, the teams. I don't know anything else about the Premier League about that. So I wanted the opportunity to experience, but at the same time, as you said, I want to experience what the difference. How are fans different at those games compared to us as Americans in our sporting events? And the pageantry of the game, like the chanting and singing, it resembles a college football game. I will say that. Like it does resemble. I mean, LSU. There's a lot of singing at LSU games. There's a lot of just going on and on about it. The energy level was a little different. I will say that because there was a lot of sitting going on in the games. I was a little bit surprised by that. Lower level, in the big section of the cheering side, they were standing and up everything. But there was a lot of sitting, and even in the cheer, when they scored a goal, everybody stood up and cheered and everything like that. But it was a little bit different as far as a little bit more subdued, even though it was loud. It was the fans were in the game and everything like that. It was great atmosphere, but I was a little surprised just on the sitting. The other side of it threw me off, and I'm saying this and laughing, but at the same time, this was actually true. The fans I was around, you couldn't tell if they were happy or mad about a play because they all said the same thing about the play. And London, they have that accent, everything, the certain words, but everything, whether it was good or bad, it was all bloody fucking hell. No matter what happened, it was a bad pass. It got everything. Bloody fucking hell! What are you doing? If it was a great pass and it was a great play, oh bloody fucking hell! What are you mad? I couldn't tell if they were mad or happy. I couldn't because the tone was the same thing. But it was funny though. It was cool. The atmosphere was great. I loved the chanting and the singing. Of the game. It was just nonstop singing and chanting. It was great, and it was just like I said. I wanted to see the difference between American fans and European fans, English fans. There is a difference in it, but it was a great experience. I'm so glad I did get to go because again, it was one of my bucket list things to be able to do this as a sports fan, experience it. And like I said, I'm an Arsenal fan now. I love the atmosphere, the team itself. There was a couple players that I kind of I was watching and say, hey, I'm a fan of that player because of how he played. It was great. It was just something that it was on my bucket list, wanted to do. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to do it. And I'm very glad. It was actually also something a little different too about it. You could not bring drinks like alcohol to your seat. You had to.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard
you had
that.
to stay in the concourse with your. So everybody, they didn't even eat. All the fans, they stayed in the concourse to eat their food and drinks. They didn't bring food to their seats. So I thought that was a little different, a little bit and I got in trouble by security because I didn't know that. I went and brought my beer to the seat. And they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, I didn't know. So I'm sorry. I'm a stupid American. I didn't know your rules and customs out here. So, but no, it was just great though. It was a great experience and a lot of fun. I'm so glad I got the opportunity to do it.
How was it? Awesome. So I'm a golf fan, a major golf fan. I watch the Open tournament. It's always windy. It's always rainy. It's always when they play. How was the weather on the golf course?
Oh, the weather was. I mean, again, 65. It was a little chilly. It was low 60s. We got into it, and we were right on the course Turnberry, which has hosted a handful of Open championships. Yeah. It's right off the North Sea. In the morning when we played our day one, we played. The wind was probably 10 to 15 miles per hour. It wasn't terrible, but it was a crosswind every hole. We did, not very often we have a hole with the wind with us or against us. A couple of times, but it was mostly a crosswind every time. And then as it got into the afternoon, it started getting a little bit drier. That wind picked up a lot more, and it went from being 10 to 15 to about 25, almost 30 miles an hour winds. And it was and again crosswind, so you couldn't figure out how to hit because if you put it, you hit it straight. I mean, I had a handful of shots that were just perfect, and that wind just caught it. And it went into the brush and everything like that. And I said, as dry as it was the greens were very difficult to speed-wise. Perfect greens, but the speed was actually slow. So I mean, I got to get the speed of the greens down pretty well as I played in my round. My dad, my brother absolutely struggled, but they were very slow greens. It was a little, again, they said it hadn't rained in a couple of days, so it was pretty dry course. But I mean, it was just that wind as it went into the afternoon, and I kind of got experience of what that looks like for PGA golfers that play in the Open. That wind was hard. It was I hit a shot, probably about 340 into a crosswind, kind of carried right down the right side of the fairway, and that wind caught it and carried it into the brush of the left side of the fairway. Mm-hmm. And that wind was just brutal, but it was a lot. It was challenging. And that's what I wanted. That's why I said, "Hey, let's go do this because this was great. Get to play in a championship course. I want challenges. I love it." And it was hard as it can be, And I said, so if the wind stayed 10 to 15, I probably do shoot a low 80. Yeah. But that wind killed a lot of my shots. It was very difficult, but it was a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jonathan, I want to switch back to baseball here. The big news coming out today is obviously the Rays and Franco on the restricted list. Amid some weird, bad allegations, allegedly with a minor. What's your thoughts? Not so much on the allegations, but what this does to the Rays as a baseball team, a team who was one of the best teams for the first 2.5 months of the season, have now kind of dropped back a little bit.
I'll say this. I think they're about to start having buyer's remorse on paying Wander Franco what they did last year, on extending him to that big contract, kind of what the Braves have done with their young stars. You're starting to see a problem here with this guy, with this kid, and that's the most unfortunate part for a young superstar, that he got benched because of how he handled frustrations, not of a game, and his teammates didn't like it. You're immature. And this is the hard side, and this is why, again, the Braves have done this, and I'm not trying to turn this into a Braves thing. When the Braves have paid Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, Michael Harris, Spencer Strider, it worked out, it panned out. They made the right decisions on the right people to do that, the right kids. And they paid them when they were very young. Ozzie Albies and Acuna were very young. Michael Harris and Spencer Strider were very young. They paid them, and it's panned out based off the right decision. At the time we said about the Rays, this was the right decision because Wander Franco was going to be a superstar in the making.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to see a little bit more that maybe they should not have, because it has been a problem since that contract that and not necessarily on the field, one part on the field, one part off, and that's something you have to take into account when you go into a decision that you make as a franchise, that you're tagging this kid to a franchise like the Rays, who does not really have a franchise player. So they haven't had one since Evan Longoria. I mean, if you go into the David Price for a while, but they let David Price go. Blake Snell. They let Blake Snell go. They haven't had a long-term franchise building player. They made the decision on Wander Franco now, and now you look at it and say it was the wrong decision, because you have an immature kid that has made wrong decision after wrong decision after wrong decision. I'm not going to talk about the allegation right now until more information, but putting yourself in this position, I can speak on until we, especially because even if it's not true, let's just say devil's advocate, even if it's not true, why is this occurring? Why is this even talked about? Why are you putting yourself in this position if it's not, even if it's not true? Perception matters as a professional athlete. So
like you were saying, Jonathan, you probably get the same way. I've worked in schools and I've worked with, I always said, don't ever put yourself in the situation because when it comes to something like that, you're guilty before, you're already guilty until you're guilty until proven innocent in those types of situations.
You forever too.
100%. Even if it's not true. Even if it's not true.
Don't ever put yourself in a situation like that to where people can assume or think that those things could be true. So I'm sure with your softball girls, you never have you and yourself and a girl in a room by yourselves. Doors always got to be open. That's the way when I was working in schools and interviewed kids, like especially girls, like, hey, this is the way it's going to be, because I'm not going to get caught in any certain sort of situation where it's a he said, she said situation, because in that situation, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Even as a pro athlete, when I played, like you handle situations, you're supposed to handle situations in a way that prevents these type of things. Should be mature enough. And that's the problem, and that's kind of the problem with some athletes. I'm not going to say it with some, and we didn't know this. I'm sure nobody would have thought Wander Franco would have had these kind of things, these problems this year because of what he did last year. I mean, again, that's the job of the organization, is to figure out. So in a way, shame on the Rays for not digging deeper and doing the due diligence on the personality of Wander Franco. Again, Ozzie Albies, if you have a conversation with Ozzie Albies, even when he was 20 years old and 19, 20 years old, the kid, he was mature beyond his years. And you can dig deep into that, and you can figure out kind of the person, how he was, his upbringing, what he went through, and being who he is today. Acuna is the same way. Like, you dig deep into to figure out what he is. Is there some maturity issues a little bit? Yeah. But Acuna is a family man. Even at 25 years old, like, he is all about his family. Wander Franco, if you're the Rays, you should have done a little bit more digging as far as how is he going to handle when we decide to make him our franchise player, and they did by signing him through his arbitration years and putting the label, you are the franchise player of this, that we're going to build around. Why didn't you do your due diligence on the personality, not just the person itself, on the personality of the player? And ask the questions, and it's tough for our organization because if you ask these questions to certain people, there's going to be, why are you asking this? Why are you asking this question? So it's tough for an organization to be able to do the due diligence and ask the hard questions. But you should have asked the hard questions. How is he going to handle the successes of being a franchise player? How is he going to handle the successes of this? What is his personality going to be? Not him as a person, his personality. You have to almost separate the two, because a person can be a good person with a questionable personality, and that's what I think. Kind of the thing about Franco right now is he's a good person. This is the year that we've had a lot. We've never heard any issues from him about him last year when he was in the big leagues. We didn't hear any issues like this in the minors. Of course, we're not going to hear much about it. But it was this year we started hearing a little bit more. Why? That's the next question you have to ask. Why did we start having more questions about him as a teammate this year? Why is it that we have to have these questions about benching him for a situation that occurred? And then now, is he mature enough? You have to ask the question of personality. Is he mature enough to handle certain things? And right now, assumptions, and I don't want to assume, but the perception of what's going on and what's being said, it's not a good look for his maturity. And how is that going to be moving forward? Because that's a crime. If we go dig deeper into this, there's a potential criminal act that has occurred that now you're going to have to, as you're the Rays, which you're an organization that does not sign players long term.
Yeah, they don't do it.
And you made the decision. How's this going to affect this organization moving forward to the younger guys who are mature enough to handle things, and they're going to be part of this organization? They're going to say, "Hey, you're going to be a free agent. We can't bite the bullet because of what happened with Wander Franco. We're going to let you go." This is going to set the Rays back for a long time, I think.
Does it make you wonder at all the timing of when they started to Baltimore started catching them? They started kind of losing games and stuff like that. You think the organization knew something happened? Because they always tend to find out before we do. So do you think it could coincide with why they're not in first place and not playing as well as they were?
I think there is a cultural issue as far as how he fits into the clubhouse.
Yeah,
because they know they know everybody on the team, everybody who's in that clubhouse knows who Wander Franco is to the organization.
Right.
They labeled him by signing him the extension they did.
Right.
The new kind. He's the organization, the player. He is the face of the franchise. And now you have the face of the franchise having the maturity issues, having the effort issues, you having the frustration issues. The club's looking at him and go, the players looking at Wander Franco saying, they talk about the front office may view you as the franchise player. We don't.
Right.
And that might be causing maybe a little bit of this downward spiral, that there is a clubhouse cultural issue that I don't know how if you're the Rays, what do you do?
Right.
I mean, you can't at this point right now. You can't make it. Obviously, trade deadline's over, but when the offseason comes around, you can't really trade him because now you have this lingering issue about his maturity that teams are going to sit there and go, yeah, I don't. If this was a year ago, I would love to have Wander Franco. Right now, I don't know.
Right.
Well, now you can't even. You wouldn't want to trade for him anyway because of the legal aspects.
Correct.
If there is going to be legal.
So he's going to stay on that reserve list, for a while until they figure out, until the MLB figures out. But the MLB is not going to do anything until the legal process figures out too, because that's what's going to happen next year. Is pretty, and I don't know. I haven't read a lot about what's going on the legal side. If there is a legal investigation going on, I don't know that at the moment. I don't want to assume that's being the case, but that's probably where it's heading next. If there is true, if this is true allegations, the legal side is going to happen. And there's going to be a DA, in Tampa that's going to look at this and say, yeah, we probably need to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're going to have a free fall in this if you're the Rays, and you're sitting back and go, we can't do anything. We're stuck with him. So maybe, and I hate to say it this way, addition by subtraction, him not being there might help the team to kind of rediscover the culture they had at the beginning of the season. But that's still a player that was a really good player that you're not going to have on that team moving forward for the rest of this year, more likely for the rest of the season. He's more likely done at the moment right now. But I think there's going to be some decisions that they're going to have to make. But the problem is when are you able to make them if you're the Rays? And I don't know that, and I don't think anybody really knows the question at that point right now. But this is not a good look. It's not a good situation, and I don't even know if I wouldn't know how to, as a Rays teammate of his. And you're going to get asked these questions about Wander Franco right now. I don't even know how to even answer those questions. Obviously, the PR team for the Rays are going to sit back and go, we're not talking about it. It's an ongoing investigation, so you can't say anything. But if I'm a teammate, I'm looking and go, why are we in this situation? Why am I being asked this? What did y'all not get about this kid to now put this team in this franchise in this position? I would be a little bit upset at the front office right now if I'm a player of the Rays.
I think he's done for the season. I don't think you're going to see him again. Number one, number two. The Rays, as you said, Rays in Major League Baseball, their hands are tied. They can't do anything. I'm sure a legal investigation has already started. So, to me, they're beating the Giants 3-0 right now in the fourth inning. So it really hasn't had an impact to begin with. But the long-term impact, Jonathan, do you see them still making the playoffs and being a force in the American League, or do you see them not making the playoffs or making it and just being done after maybe one or two games in a wild card situation?
I think they're done. I mean, Shane McClanahan's their best. He's on. He's been kind of going back and forth right now with some injuries. I think he's currently still on the IL right now. I could be off. I know when I left for Scotland,
I think he is. He's still in. Yeah,
he's still on it. So your best pitcher's on the IL. You're dealing with. I would if they make the postseason. Kudos to Kevin Cash. And we praised Kevin Cash throughout the year as far as what they were doing at the beginning of the season when they were the hottest team. If he takes this team after everything that they've gone through as far as with Wander Franco on the field and now having to deal with this off-the-field issue, if they still make the postseason, my goodness gracious, Kevin Cash, kudos to you. Because I do not envy the job that he has to do with this group. But I don't see that. I think they're done. I think there's just too much to handle. That you have teams like Toronto is going to be on their heels. It's going to continue to be on their heels. I think Toronto at some point is going to pass them because it's just going to you're going to continue to be asked this question if you're a Rays player. And you're going to continue to be asked about Wander Franco. It's going to absolutely weigh on you for a while. And you're going to get sick and tired of it. And it's going to be frustrating. And you're going to end up getting into a slump because you're mentally not there. And if that happens,
Jonathan,
they're done.
Wow. Jonathan, I want to one more final question before we get you out of here. The Arizona Diamondbacks are inducting Luis Gonzalez and Randy Johnson into their first two nominees into their Hall of Fame. What's your thoughts there? I get Luis Gonzalez a little surprised that the big unit's going in. They're retiring the big units number.
Well, he was there.
He won them a title.
Yeah, he was there for the World Series.
I get that, but I mean, I didn't feel like he had the longevity there.
No, not the longevity, but again, he was. I mean, I know we talk about Curt Schilling on that team. Randy Johnson was the best pitcher. If I can remember correctly, again, I was only 11 years old, but I remember that team and I watched. And
he had like 2 wins, I think, and
he slaved and he closed. Bro, he pitched like almost every game in that series, bro.
He was the best pitcher on the team and I know he wasn't there very long. I think maybe 2 years or so, and I could be wrong about that. He was there a couple of years, but he was the best with a team that had Curt Schilling. He was the best pitcher on that staff, and that was at his peak. I know we talk about Randy Johnson, how he was in Seattle, and that was just like that was crazy, Randy Johnson, that you did not want to step in the batter's box with. When he got to Arizona, that was at his peak. He was absolutely dominant as a starting pitcher. And we talk about him at Houston, where he was kind of getting a little bit better. But Arizona, Randy Johnson was the best, in my opinion, Randy Johnson that we've seen, that we saw in his career. He was dominant of it. And again, when you bring a title, when you bring a World Series title, I think Kurt Schilling would, if everybody didn't hate Kurt Schilling, Kurt Schilling probably would have his number retired with Arizona too. But because everybody actually hates Kurt Schilling for what he's done post career, that's why we're not talking about him being part of the club as well. But Randy Johnson, even with Kurt Schilling on that team, Randy was the best pitcher, and he was the best pitcher at that time in Major League Baseball that they had. Yeah. I think it's the right. I think it's the right call. Retired. He brought. Yeah. He was one of the main reasons. Again, Luis Gonzalez. Yes, he was a Diamondback player for a long time. He did have the game-winning hit that won the World Series for them. But Randy Johnson, so Gonzalez absolutely. But Randy Johnson, because of what he did in the short time and how dominant of a pitcher he was for the Diamondbacks, absolutely, I think he deserves to have his number retired and be in the Diamondbacks Hall of Fame for what he did for that franchise and winning a title. And what was that? I guess
2001.
5 years.
2001.
Yeah, 2001. He won that title, bro. Randy Johnson won that championship.
But they were only a franchise for 5 years.
Yeah. There was
so I mean, yeah, absolutely. He was a catalyst for that. So yeah, he should get his number retired and be in the Hall of Fame for the Diamondbacks. Absolutely.
Before we get him out of here, I just read something on Wander Franco while Jonathan was talking. The investigation has been launched in the Dominican Republic. So that's another layer that you're adding on to this situation. It's in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, so this is international too now.
Dude, that's worse, bro.
They're investigating him for improper conduct, reaching out to a minor. So he's done for the year. It's internationally right now. So
I mean, and now here's the next question that needs to be asked probably. Do we even see Wander Franco play baseball again?
I was just about to say, bro, his whole life could be done, bro. Like if he goes to jail.
I mean, think about it. Like we saw Trevor Bauer has to play baseball in Japan right now for an allegation that was actually false.
Yeah,
he was vindicated for the allegation. Now again, we don't know the long term of effects of this is going to be. Whether it's again not assuming the true or not. But Trevor Bauer was vindicated, and he's not playing baseball in MLB right now.
Right.
Wander Franco, and I think we might have to have that. That might be a discussion at some point. Is Wander Franco done, even at this young age? And I mean, if you're as I said, if you're the Rays, you're sitting back and going, "Oh my God, which at this point they'll probably get the money back that they paid him if this is going on." But at the same time, this is going to weigh on you as a franchise that you made this decision and you were wrong. And so I think at the same time, the conversation has to be and not right now. I think it's very poor taste and poor timing to ask this question because there's so many more important details that are coming out about the situation of what, of the allegation. But here in the future, that question is going to be, do we see Wander Franco play Major League Baseball again? And I don't know. I really don't right now.
That's crazy, bro. That is wild.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, what do you got? What's Alpha got coming up now that you're back off vacation?
So we got practices going on still. We're still doing some tryouts. We got a couple more spots for our younger teams. We're filling out with. We have a practice this week, and actually, I'm going home to Louisiana. I'm gonna go visit my mom. My mom, been sick and dealing with cancer, so I'm gonna go spend time with her. My little brother and sister, their birthday was today, so I'm gonna go spend time with their birthday. So, I'm gonna go home to Louisiana for the weekend, spend time with everybody, and see them. And then, like I said, we're continuing doing practices and tryouts. We're about 2.5 weeks away, 3 weeks away. From playing games again in September. So once we get into September, I'm back playing. I'm back coaching in tournaments and traveling around with my teams, with my girls, and everything. So we're still doing tryouts. We're still doing workouts. We're hitting it hard. My girls are working hard right now. Very proud of them and what they're continuing to push, and hopefully we continue to achieve our goals this summer, this fall. But we're still hitting strong right now. So we got one more day this week of practice and workouts, tryouts, where I'm going to go to Louisiana, visit my family, and then we're hitting it hard again next week, and then we're getting ourselves ready for the season just around the corner in September.
Nice.
Hey,
welcome back, John.
Kicks that cancer's ass like she used to kick some girls' asses in the octagon. We appreciate you joining us every Monday, Jonathan. Best of luck. Tell your mom best of luck to her. We wish her well, brother.
Appreciate it, guys, as always. Hey, I missed y'all last week. I'm glad I'm back. I'm glad I'm back with you guys.
Hey, we're glad you stopped chasing, stopped running from me. So, hey, we'll see you next Monday, Jonathan.
Definitely, guys. I'll see y'all.
All right, bro.
See ya.
That's a good dude.
Oh,
That explains a lot. He said he was 11 in 2001. So that means he was like 6 or something like that when the Yankees beat the Atlanta Braves in 96 and then again in 98. So his childhood got ruined by the Yankees.
2000. They beat him in 90. Was it 96 or 2000?
96 and 2000. So we ruined his childhood. So now I get it. Now I get it why he's so.
You peed in his cereal. Yeah.
He does not miss an opportunity to take a shot at the Yankees, but it's all good, man. As a Yankee fan, you're used to that. You're used to people doing that. It's all good.
Johnny,
look at this one.
He was already in the
coming out of nowhere. His team has one good season in the last 12 years. And he wants to take shots at my Yankees too. What's up, Alan?
Johnny, a little sensitive today, my guy.
I know he is.
No, it finally made sense to me now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I understand Atlanta and New York or whatever, but now I get it, Jonathan. I can't wait to talk to Jonathan next weekend.
Jonathan, all right, Johnny, go ahead and get your final thoughts before we get up out of here.
My final thoughts is yes, that was a horrible memory that you brought up with Randy Johnson dominating my New York Yankees in 200001. But it was
Mariano Rivera gave up the game winner hit in that series.
I mean, it was. I mean, honestly, the Diamondbacks were dominating us that whole series. It was just miraculous home runs by Tino Martinez and stuff like that.
Derek Jeter.
That even kept us in that series.
Young
Randy
Kim.
Johnson and Kurt Schilling, they were dominating us. So shout out to them. Congratulations to Luis Gonzalez and Randy Johnson getting their stuff retired for the Diamondbacks. That's well deserved there. Nothing, just excited for, you know what I'm saying, loving the background and what Tanner's doing for us. Shout out to Tanner and all the hard work that he puts into the show and all his shows. Looking forward to get an opportunity to be on some of his other shows. Looking forward to Let's Talk Miami Dolphins tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Got a lot of shit to talk about. I had a bunch to talk about as far as the Atlanta game. Now I got to add the fact that Dalvin Cook decided to go to the Jets instead of the Dolphins. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. And then Thursday, a big-time show with my boy S.J. Cobb, where we got a very special guest from Columbus that's going to be joining us. So looking forward to that. And, of course, Thursday, what division we previewing this week?
Has to be what we do last weekend.
AFC West.
AFC.
Oh, that's right. We're doing the AFC. Oh, so it's gonna be a lot of kids. Tanner's gonna be hella prepared for that conversation there. So now looking forward to all that. Shout out to Dan Harris. Get better, my friend. Shout out to Jonathan Grishman's moms. Kick that cancer's ass, man, for real.
Scott, your final thoughts on who we betting on tomorrow?
Yes, please. I need some more money.
John, you might have to block your ears on this betting angle.
I don't care, bro. If it's about me making money or the Yankees winning right now, I don't care about the Yankees right now. I need that money, bro. I need
Johnny
that money.
says they're all out to get me. That's what Johnny says.
So,
they're all
it's
out
all
to
good.
Get me.
It's all good. That's
so
why Ric Flair's my favorite, bro. It's all good. Keep on coming.
Woo!
Keep on coming, baby.
The Scott Cobb Show returns Thursday night. Special guest Ed in Columbus. I think me and the over-under, Johnny, and my questions would be 2 because Ed's just going to carry it. I think that's number 1, and I don't mind at all. Ed is great.
Yeah.
Ed's great.
Yes.
So I'm looking very much forward to this Scott Cobb Show on Thursday night. Rob Logan will be our special guest Thursday night as well, talking about AFC West.
Yes. Yep. True.
Are we
Is that
going
the
to
guy
hear
with the cold dead eyes? He just stares at you.
Are we going to hear the term is it going to charge it this year?
That's what Staley. That's what Staley has done to him, bro.
Yeah. Staley's maimed him for life.
That's what being a Charger fan's done to him. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Facts.
Today I was on a special Podathon podcast for Alzheimer's disease, and a lot of people have been affected by it. I've been affected by it in my life with family members. So, again, as we say over and over again, when you get a chance, tell somebody you love them, give them a hug, hold your family close to you, because tomorrow's a never given. You don't know if tomorrow is going to come. So, do what you can in the moment and spend time with family. So That's all.
Here.
Said, bro. Well said.
Sam, go ahead.
Yeah. Try to go after that
tonight. Sam, are you thinking tonight's the last night you go to bed as a father of two and wake up tomorrow and you're going to be a father?
Is it
not to
be all in the first down business, but is it C-section? So you know for a fact that he's coming tomorrow?
Yeah,
okay.
7:30 a.m. It's happening.
Oh shit. We're gonna be blowing up your phone at 7:30 in the morning, bro.
You go right ahead. I mean, that's when we show up. And hey, Johnny, by the way, that's how you follow that. Okay. All right, take notes. Anyway, so how you like them apples? But yeah, no, I'm super excited. I'll take any positive vibes, thoughts, prayers, anything like that sent my way. You always get a little nervous. Always a little nervous in the hospitals. So I'll take it. But I just enjoy your moments, enjoy your friends and everything, because just like Scott said, it can be over so quickly, and you'll regret things that you weren't said and things that you did say that were awful. You just enjoy your friends at the time. I enjoy you guys. It's great.
Absolutely.
Well, that makes one of us. So
wow. Anyway,
and that's one thing real quick is the whole family thing. You know, the whole old saying, blood is thicker than water. Blood is thicker than water, but not if that blood don't give a shit about you. You know what I'm saying? Because some of my closest friends are closer to me than my actual blood family. So, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate the good people that are in your life and that are actually there for you when you need help or when you're down or whatever. It's not always just blood relatives. Sometimes it's your boys. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, don't hold grudges. And I agree with what Scott and Sam said, man. Yeah, life's too short to be holding grudges, man. Enjoy yourselves.
all right.
Sorry, Nick. Sorry, Nick.
No, to piggyback what you guys are saying, rest in peace, Alex Collins, former Arkansas running back, former Ravens and Seattle running back, standout at Arkansas, was a stud. Only 28 years old, such a young man died today. So T's and P's to his family as well. So again, life's short. Enjoy the moments, enjoy the time. Shout out to Mrs. First Down. We hope she holds down the fort and produces a beautiful baby boy tomorrow. So we're with you, Sam, and we hope everything comes out all right. And by God, hopefully he doesn't look as ugly as you do. So
I know. God bless him. Poor kid.
I mean, how your twins turned out, they're as beautiful as they are. Jeez. But so.
I'm guessing they look like mom.
They got to. You got to.
They had no choice. They're going to be beautiful. They want to be like Quasimodo, lock them in a bear towel.
Tanner, where are you, Tanner?
With that being said, we'll be back Thursday night. First half of the show, I believe we're going to have Whit from Rec Room Sports on. We're going to be previewing UFC 293, I think it is, in the hometown of Scott Cobe in Boston. So maybe the nursing home's giving out some cheap tickets, and Scott will be boots on the ground for UFC 293. But we'll be doing that the first hour. Second hour, we're going to have Rob Logan, and we'll be doing our AFC West preview, talking all things AFC West, giving our predictions as well as we continue our division. So AFC West this Thursday and next Thursday will be NFC West. And then we just got the AFC and NFC East, I think, boys. And that'll be a wrap. And week one will be here before we know it.
Yeah,
we'll be making picks. So I can't wait for that. But join us again this Thursday, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. We'll be previewing a little UFC card Saturday night, plus our AFC North, our AFC West preview. So be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. Johnny, hit that outro. Let's get out of here. It's been a great show.
Yeah. Congrats, Sam.
On my knees,
life better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts.
Could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep, move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep.